In a snowy Chicago, Anna Harper, a single mother, faces betrayal at her sister's lavish wedding. Humiliated in front of the guests, she learns of her father's secret that could restore her dignity and secure her son's future. But will she have the strength to resist her family's lies? In a whirlwind of deceit and intrigue, Anna must find a legal path to justice. Will she overcome the pain, or will betrayal break her spirit? Anna Harper, 32, stood behind the counter of Rosie's Diner on Clark Street, Chicago, her breath fogging the glass as she wiped away steam. Snow fell steadily outside, blanketing the city in a quiet hush. The diner, a humble speck in the upscale Loop district, was an oddity among sleek high-rises and designer boutiques. Its neon sign flickered, casting a warm glow on the icy sidewalk. For Anna, it was more than a job, it was her anchor. A single mother to her 10-year-old son, Liam, she juggled long shifts and endless love for her boy, her reason to keep going. Liam's father, Mark, had died in a construction accident when their son was just a year old, leaving Anna to face the world alone. Her hands, calloused from years of work, moved mechanically as she poured coffee, but her hazel eyes carried a quiet resilience. The lunchtime rush had slowed, and the diner was nearly empty, save for a couple of regulars nursing their mugs. Anna glanced at the clock. 2:15 p.m. Liam would be out of school soon. She needed to get home, make sure he had a warm meal, and help with his homework. Life wasn't easy, but it was theirs, stitched together with small joys. Liam's laughter, their Saturday movie nights, the way he'd hug her after a long day. She adjusted her apron, her dark hair slipping from its loose bun, and caught her reflection in the stainless steel counter. Fatigue lined her face, but she smiled faintly. She was doing her best. Clara, the diner's owner, emerged from the kitchen, her silver-streaked hair tied back. At 50, Clara had a warmth that made the diner feel like home. She noticed Anna's distracted gaze and leaned against the counter. "You're thinking about Liam, aren't you?" she said, her voice soft but knowing. "Go on, head home early. I'll close up." Anna hesitated, gratitude flickering in her chest. "Are you sure, Clara? I can stay." Clara waved her off. "You do enough, Anna. Liam's waiting." With a nod, Anna untied her apron, her shoulders relaxing slightly. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Clara's kindness was a lifeline, one Anna never took for granted. Stepping into the biting Chicago wind, Anna pulled her worn coat tighter. The snow crunched under her boots as she hurried to the bus stop, her thoughts on Liam. He'd be excited to tell her about his day. Maybe he'd aced another science quiz or made a new friend. The thought warmed her against the cold. At their apartment building, a modest brick structure tucked between towering condos, she checked the mailbox out of habit. Among the usual bills was an unexpected sight. A cream-colored envelope, embossed with gold lettering, addressed to Anna and Liam Harper. Her heart sank slightly as she recognized the elegant script. Inside their small apartment, Anna set her bag down and opened the envelope. The invitation was printed on thick, luxurious paper. "You are cordially invited to the wedding of Caitlin Harper and Edward Russell." Her younger sister, Caitlin, 28, was marrying Edward, heir to the Russell Hotel empire. The ceremony would be held at the Starlight Plaza, Chicago's most opulent venue. Anna's stomach twisted. She hadn't spoken to Caitlin in months, and their mother, Elizabeth, had grown distant since their father, James, died of a heart attack 5 years ago. James had been Anna's rock, the only one who understood her choice to raise Liam alone, who never judged her modest life. Without him, the family had fractured. Elizabeth doted on Caitlin, the charming socialite, while Anna felt like an outsider. Liam burst through the door, his backpack bouncing. "Mom," he called, his freckled face lighting up. He ran to her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Anna's tension melted as she hugged him back. "Hey, champ. Good day?" she asked, ruffling his sandy hair. "Yeah, I got an A on my science quiz." Liam beamed, pulling out a crumpled paper to show her. Anna's heart swelled. "That's my boy." As she started dinner, mac and cheese, Liam's favorite, she glanced at the invitation on the counter. Could she face her family's judgment again? Caitlin's voice echoed in her mind from their last call. "Try to dress nicely, Anna. Edward's family is particular." The words had stung, a reminder of the gap between their worlds. That night, after Liam was asleep, Anna sat on the couch, a cup of tea cooling in her hands. She opened an old photo album, her fingers tracing a picture of her father. James Harper, with his kind eyes and steady smile, had been a successful real estate developer, but to Anna, he was just Dad, the man who'd cheered at her college graduation, who'd held Liam as a baby and promised to always be there. His death had left a void, and with it, her place in the family seemed to vanish. The invitation loomed like a challenge. For Liam's sake, she'd go. He deserved to see his aunt's wedding, to feel part of something bigger. But deep down, Anna braced herself for what awaited, a night that would test her strength in ways she couldn't yet imagine. The Starlight Plaza Hotel gleamed under Chicago's snowy sky, its marble facade adorned with golden ribbons and cascades of white orchids. Inside, the grand ballroom buzzed with the city's elite, their laughter mingling with the clink of crystal glasses. Anna Harper, 32, gripped her son Liam's hand as they stepped out of the taxi, the cold biting through her thin coat. Her navy blue dress, bought with carefully saved tips from Rosie's diner, felt painfully plain next to the designer gown swirling around her. Liam, 10, looked sharp in his new suit, but his wide eyes betrayed a mix of awe and unease. "Mom, everyone's so fancy," he whispered, tugging at her sleeve. Anna forced a smile, her heart pounding. "We belong here, Liam. We're invited." She squeezed his hand, willing her voice to stay steady. The lobby was a sea of wealth, women in shimmering dresses, men in tailored tuxedos, their conversations laced with names of exclusive clubs and private jets. Anna felt the weight of their glances, subtle but sharp, as she and Liam navigated the crowd. She'd spent weeks preparing for this, determined not to let her sister Caitlin or Mother Elizabeth make her feel small. Yet doubt gnawed at her. Could she endure their judgment again? Caitlin's words from their last call echoed. "Dress appropriately, Anna. Edward's family expects standards." The memory stung, but Anna straightened her shoulders. This was for Liam. He deserved to see his aunt's wedding, to feel included. An usher guided them to the ceremony hall, a cathedral-like space with soaring ceilings and stained-glass windows. They were seated at the back, far from the front where Elizabeth sat in a pearl-embellished gown. Anna's chest tightened as she caught her mother's eye, only for Elizabeth to look away, her face a mask of indifference. The ceremony began, and Caitlin, 28, glided down the aisle in a white gown that sparkled like a fairy tale. Edward Russell, the groom, stood tall, his smile polished but distant. Liam leaned close, whispering, "Aunt Caitlin looks like a princess." Anna nodded, her throat tight. For a moment, she let herself hope the day would pass smoothly. After the vows, the guests moved to the ballroom, a champagne gold wonderland lit by chandeliers that cast a dreamlike glow. Anna and Liam were led to a small table at the edge, a card reading Harper family relatives their only marker. Elizabeth was nowhere near. She sat at the head table with Edward's parents, her laughter ringing out. Liam's eyes sparkled as waiters served dishes he'd never seen: foie gras, lobster bisque, delicate pastries. Anna watched him, her tension easing. If he was happy, she could endure anything. But the air felt heavy, like a storm brewing just out of sight. As the meal ended, the master of ceremonies took the stage, his voice booming. "Ladies and gentlemen, the bride and groom have a special surprise." The lights dimmed, and a spotlight snapped onto Anna and Liam's table. Anna froze, her pulse racing as every eye in the room turned to them. Liam shrank into his chair, clutching her hand. Caitlin, radiant in her gown, stepped forward with a microphone, her smile wide but sharp. "Thank you all for celebrating our day," she said, her voice honeyed. "But let's make it even more memorable. Please meet my sister, Anna, and her son, Liam." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Anna's face burned, her instincts screaming that something was wrong. Caitlin's tone shifted, laced with mockery. "As you can see, Anna's a single mom, living, well, a different life from ours." Laughter erupted, light at first, then crueler. Anna's heart thudded as she realized where this was going. "So, for fun, let's hold a charity auction," Caitlin declared. "Who'll bid for this single mother and her son?" The room exploded with laughter, guests in their finery cackling as if watching a circus act. Liam's eyes filled with tears, his small voice trembling. "Mom, why are they laughing?" Anna's hand shook, anger and humiliation warring inside her. She wanted to flee, to shield Liam from this cruelty, but her legs felt rooted to the floor. Elizabeth stood, taking the microphone from Caitlin with a smirk. "Let's make it interesting," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "Starting bid, $0. After all, what value do they have?" The laughter grew louder, a wave crashing over Anna. Liam's sobs broke her paralysis. She reached for him, ready to leave, when a voice cut through the noise, calm, commanding, undeniable. $1 million. The room fell silent, the air charged with shock. All heads turned to a man standing at the back, his gray-flecked hair and tailored suit exuding quiet authority. His blue eyes locked on Anna, steady and kind. "I'll buy Anna and Liam for $1 million," he repeated, stepping forward. Caitlin forced a laugh, her composure cracking. "A joke, surely?" The man's expression didn't waver. "No joke. I'm Nathan Crow, attorney to James Harper." Anna's breath caught. Her father's lawyer? She'd heard his name once, years ago, but never met him. Nathan's gaze shifted to Caitlin and Elizabeth, cold and unflinching. "Shall we continue this auction, or is it time for the truth?" The ballroom held its breath, the chandelier's light glinting off his resolute face. Anna clung to Liam, her mind racing. Whatever came next, she knew nothing would ever be the same. The Starlight Plaza's ballroom was frozen in stunned silence, the chandelier's golden light casting long shadows across the sea of shocked faces. Anna Harper, 32, held her son Liam close, his small frame still trembling from the cruel laughter that had filled the room moments ago. Her heart raced as Nathan Crow, the gray-haired attorney who just bid $1 million for them, stood at the center of the venue, his presence commanding every eye. His calm blue gaze swept over the crowd, lingering on Caitlin and Elizabeth, who stood pale and rigid near the stage. "Let's dispense with games," Nathan said, his voice steady but edged with steel. "It's time for the truth, James Harper's truth." Anna's breath caught at her father's name. James, the only one who'd ever made her feel truly seen, had been gone 5 years, his death from a heart attack leaving a void in her life. She'd heard Nathan's name once, mentioned in passing by her father, but she knew little of him. Now, as he reached into his suit jacket and produced a notarized envelope, her mind spun with questions. Liam looked up at her, his tear-streaked face searching for answers. "Mom, what's happening?" he whispered. Anna squeezed his hand, her own fear tempered by a flicker of hope. "I don't know, sweetheart, but we're okay," she murmured, though her voice wavered. Nathan held up the envelope, its wax seal glinting under the spotlight. "This is James Harper's final will, dated June 12, 2018, he announced. A murmur rippled through the guests as he signaled to a technician. The massive screen behind him flickered to life, displaying the document's header, "Last Will and Testament of James Harper." The text was clear, its clauses stark: 80% of all assets, including all shares of Harper Properties, to be divided equally between Anna Harper and her son, Liam Harper. The remaining 20% to Elizabeth Harper for living expenses with no management rights. Full control of Harper Properties to Anna Harper. Gasps echoed in the hall. Anna's knees buckled, and she gripped the table for support, her mind reeling. This couldn't be real, could it? Elizabeth's voice shattered the silence, shrill with fury. "This is a lie," she shouted, stepping forward, her pearl-encrusted gown catching the light. "James's affairs were handled by our family lawyer, not some stranger." Caitlin, her face drained of color, chimed in, her voice trembling. "Father's will was settled years ago. Everything was legal." Nathan's expression remained impassive as he opened the envelope and drew out additional papers. "You're correct, Elizabeth. A will was executed," he said coolly. "But it was a decoy. James, suspecting betrayal, prepared 2 wills. This is the true one, legally binding and notarized." He turned to the screen, which now showed a detailed ledger of financial transactions, bank transfers, offshore accounts, and siphoned funds traced to Elizabeth and Caitlin over the past 5 years. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, a mix of shock and intrigue. Edward Russell, the groom, stared at Caitlin, his jaw tight, while his parents whispered furiously. Nathan's voice cut through the noise. "James Harper foresaw your actions," he said, addressing Elizabeth and Caitlin directly. 7 years ago, he hired me to oversee his personal matters, particularly to protect Anna and Liam. He knew you'd try to cut them out. He produced another document, this one a letter, and began to read aloud, his tone softening. "Dear Anna and Liam, if you're hearing this, Nathan has followed my wishes. I'm sorry for keeping you in the dark, but I needed you to prove your strength, Anna. You've raised Liam with love and courage, and that's worth more than any fortune. Elizabeth and Caitlin have schemed for years, but you are my true heir. Your kindness, your resilience, these are the heart of Harper Properties. Liam, your grandpa loves you always. Trust Nathan. He'll guide you. With all my love, Dad." Tears streamed down Anna's face as Nathan's words sank in. She could almost hear her father's voice, feel his warm hand on her shoulder as he'd once promised to always protect her. Liam, clinging to her, whispered, Did Grandpa really write that for us? Anna nodded, her voice choked. Yes, baby. He loved us so much. The room was quiet now, the guest's earlier mockery replaced by uneasy silence. Elizabeth's face twisted with rage. This is fraud, she spat, her hands trembling. I was James's wife. I have rights. Nathan's gaze didn't waver. Legally, you have none beyond the 20% James allocated. This will has been submitted to the court, and a judge is here tonight. He nodded toward a stern-faced man in the corner, who gave a slight nod, his presence lending weight to Nathan's words. Caitlin's composure cracked, her voice shrill. We've done nothing wrong. Nathan raised an eyebrow, producing a final envelope. Then let's review the evidence, he said, displaying a series of emails and financial records on the screen, proof of Elizabeth and Caitlin's attempts to divert company funds and exclude Anna from the inheritance. The crowd's whispers turned to gasps. Edward's father stood, his face red with anger, and hissed something to his son. Edward's eyes, fixed on Caitlin, were cold with betrayal. Anna's heart pounded, a storm of emotions, grief, gratitude, fury, swirling inside her. Her father had seen this coming, had planned for her protection, and now, in this moment, she felt his love stronger than ever. Nathan folded the documents and turned to Anna, his expression softening. Miss Anna, Liam, I apologize for revealing this so publicly, but it was James's wish to expose the truth at the right moment. He glanced at Caitlin and Elizabeth, his voice firm. The legal process begins now. All illicit transactions will be reversed. Anna met his gaze, her tears drying as resolve took root. She didn't know what lay ahead, but for the first time in years, she felt a spark of power, not just her father's, but her own. As Nathan stepped back, the ballroom remained hushed, the weight of James's will hanging heavy in the air. Anna held Liam close, knowing this was only the beginning of their fight for justice. The black sedan glided through Chicago's snowy streets, the city's lights blurring past the windows as Anna Harper sat in the passenger seat, her mind a whirlwind. In the back, Liam, 10, slept soundly, his small form wrapped in Anna's coat. The events at the Starlight Plaza still echoed in her heart, the cruel laughter, her sister Caitlin's mocking auction, her mother Elizabeth's venomous words, and then Nathan Crow's bombshell, her father's true will, naming her and Liam as heirs to 80% of Harper properties. Anna's fingers tightened around the edge of her seat, her hazel eyes fixed on the road ahead. She felt raw, torn between gratitude for her father's foresight and fury at her family's betrayal. Nathan, the gray-haired attorney driving, glanced at her, his voice gentle. You must be exhausted, Anna. I've booked a hotel for you and Liam tonight. Rest. The legal work begins tomorrow. Anna nodded, her throat tight. Why didn't he tell me? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Why keep this secret for 5 years? Nathan's hands steadied on the wheel, his expression thoughtful. James wanted to protect you. He saw through Elizabeth and Caitlin's schemes long before his heart attack. He knew they'd try to erase you from the inheritance. But he also believed in you, Anna. He wanted you to stand on your own, to raise Liam with strength, before this burden fell on you. Anna's eyes stung with tears. She thought of her father, his kind smile, his quiet pride when she graduated with a business degree, his joy holding baby Liam. He was waiting for them to expose themselves, Nathan added. And they did, spectacularly. The hotel, a quiet boutique near Lake Michigan, offered a temporary sanctuary. Anna tucked Liam into bed, his soft snores easing her tension. Alone in the dim room, she sat by the window, snow falling silently outside. Her father's letter, read aloud by Nathan, replayed in her mind. Your kindness, your resilience, these are the heart of Harper Properties. Could she really step into his shoes? She'd spent years at Rosie's diner, scraping by, not running a real estate empire. Doubt gnawed at her, but beneath it, a spark of determination flickered. For Liam, for her father, she'd try. Morning brought clarity. At Nathan's sleek downtown office, Anna sipped coffee while Liam, in an adjacent room, read a book with Nathan's secretary. Piles of legal documents covered the desk, court orders, asset freezes, and James's authenticated will. Nathan, in a crisp suit, explained the situation with calm precision. The will is ironclad, signed by a judge who was at the wedding. Elizabeth and Caitlin's accounts are frozen, and their illegal transfers, millions diverted from Harper Properties, are nullified. The company's management rights transfer to you immediately. Anna's head spun. What happens to them? She asked, her voice steady despite her racing pulse. Nathan leaned back. They'll return the misappropriated funds or face prosecution. Their social standing is already crumbling. Anna's fingers traced the edge of a document. Can I do this, Nathan? Run a company? She trailed off, the weight of her diner apron still heavy in her memory. Nathan's smile was reassuring. You majored in business administration, Anna, with top grades. James knew your potential. The company has a strong team, and I'll guide you. He left plans for this transition. His words stirred something in her, a memory of late-night study sessions, her father's voice saying, "You're stronger than you know." She nodded, resolve hardening. Okay, let's do this. Over the next few weeks, Anna's life transformed at dizzying speed. She moved into a modest but comfortable apartment closer to Harper Properties headquarters, a glass tower overlooking the Chicago River. Liam started at a new school, his excitement easing Anna's guilt over the upheaval. Legal battles unfolded swiftly. Nathan's evidence, emails, bank records, forged documents, was overwhelming. Elizabeth and Caitlin lost their claim to the company's assets, their wealth evaporating as courts ordered the return of stolen funds. Caitlin's engagement to Edward Russell collapsed. His family, humiliated by the scandal, cut ties. Elizabeth, stripped of her lavish lifestyle, retreated to a small condo in the suburbs. Whispers of their downfall spread through Chicago's elite, their names now synonymous with disgrace. Anna's first days as CEO were daunting. The boardroom, with its polished table and city views, felt like another world. Employees eyed her warily, unsure of the diner worker-turned-executive. But Anna listened, learned, and leaned on her business instincts. She met with department heads, reviewed contracts, and asked questions that surprised even the veterans. One evening, a grizzled executive, Tom, clapped her on the shoulder. "You've got James's fire, Anna. You'll do him proud." Her chest swelled, the words anchoring her. She wasn't just surviving, she was rising. At home, Liam adjusted to their new life, his pride in his mother shining through. "Mom, you're like a superhero now," he said one night, sketching her in a cape at the kitchen table. Anna laughed, but his words fueled her. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was building a future for him. Nathan became a steady presence, meeting her for strategy sessions and checking on Liam. One afternoon, as they reviewed company reports, Anna caught his warm glance. "James would be proud," he said softly. "You're proving him right." Anna smiled, a flicker of confidence growing. The path was steep, but she was climbing it, step by lawful step, toward a justice she hadn't dared imagine. Spring sunlight poured through the windows of Anna Harper's new home, a cozy townhouse near Chicago's Lincoln Park, its walls alive with Liam's drawings and family photos. The living room glowed with warmth, a stark contrast to the snowy night 6 months ago when Anna, 32, and her son Liam, 10, had left the Starlight Plaza Hotel reeling from betrayal and revelation. Now, as CEO of Harper Properties, Anna stood at a crossroads, not just of power, but of healing. The legal battles were over. Elizabeth and Caitlin, her mother and sister, had lost everything: wealth, status, and influence, forced to repay millions in misappropriated funds. Yet Anna's heart wrestled with what came next. Could she rebuild a family fractured by greed? For Liam's sake, she wanted to try. Tonight, the townhouse buzzed with life. A Christmas tree sparkled in the corner, its ornaments a mix of Liam's handmade crafts and elegant baubles from the company's holiday gala. Guests filled the space: Harper Properties employees, Liam's new school friends, and Nathan Crow, the attorney whose loyalty to her late father, James, had changed everything. Anna, in a simple but elegant green dress, moved through the crowd, her smile genuine but tinged with anticipation. She'd invited Elizabeth and Caitlin, a decision that had kept her awake for nights. Would they come? And if they did, could she face them without the sting of their cruelty resurfacing? Liam, his freckled face alight, darted between guests, showing off a model rocket he built. "Mom, look. It's gonna fly next week," he called, his enthusiasm infectious. Anna's heart swelled. His joy was her anchor, a reminder of why she'd fought so hard. She'd transformed Harper Properties, launching eco-friendly housing projects and a foundation in James's name to support single parents. The board had unanimously backed her vision, and the company's stock soared. Employees, once skeptical, now rallied behind her, inspired by her empathy and drive. "You're James's daughter, through and through," one had said, and Anna carried those words like a badge. Nathan approached, a glass of wine in hand, his gray-flecked hair catching the light. "You've outdone yourself, Anna," he said, his blue eyes warm. "This is more than a party, it's a new chapter." Anna smiled, their bond having deepened beyond business. Nathan had become a confidant, taking Liam to baseball games and sharing stories of James's quiet brilliance. I couldn't have done it without you, she replied, her voice soft. Their eyes held for a moment, a spark of something unspoken growing. Nathan had kept his promise to James to watch over Anna and Liam, and in doing so, had become part of their lives. The doorbell rang and Anna's pulse quickened. She opened the door to find Elizabeth and Caitlin, their faces drawn, their once lavish attire replaced by modest coats. Elizabeth, 60, looked older, her eyes heavy with regret. Caitlin, 28, clutched a small gift bag, her usual confidence gone. Anna, Elizabeth said, her voice trembling. Thank you for inviting us. Anna nodded, her throat tight. Come in. She led them to the living room, where Liam's laughter filled the air. The guest chatter softened as Elizabeth and Caitlin entered, their presence a quiet shock. Anna gestured to the couch. Please, sit. Caitlin spoke first, her voice low. We came to apologize, Anna. For the wedding, for everything, Dad's inheritance, the lies. Her eyes glistened. We were wrong. Elizabeth's hand shook as she added, I failed you, Anna. And Liam. I let greed blind me. Anna's chest ached, memories of their mockery at the wedding flashing vividly, the spotlight, Liam's tears, her own humiliation. But she saw something new in their faces, shame, yes, but also a flicker of sincerity. She took a breath, steadying herself. That night hurt us deeply, she said, her voice calm but firm. But Dad believed in family, even when it was broken. I want to honor that. She slid a folder across the coffee table. This is a new agreement. It restores the 20% Dad left for you, Elizabeth, for your living expenses. Caitlin, it includes a stipend to help you start over. Their eyes widened, stunned. Why? Caitlin asked, tears spilling. After what we did. Anna's gaze softened, resting on Liam, who was showing Nathan his rocket. Because of him. Liam deserves to know his grandmother and aunt. But there's a condition. Spend time with him, once a month. Be part of his life. Elizabeth's sob broke the silence, her hand covering her mouth. I don't deserve this, she whispered. Anna's voice was steady. Maybe not. But Dad would have wanted it. The party continued, the tension easing as Elizabeth and Caitlin joined the guests. Liam, curious but shy, approached them, holding out a drawing. I made this for you, he said, offering it to Elizabeth. It was a sketch of their old family home, with James smiling in the yard. Elizabeth's eyes brimmed as she hugged him, her first real connection to her grandson. Caitlin, wiping tears, promised to visit him soon. Anna watched, a weight lifting. Forgiveness wasn't easy, but it was right. As the night wound down, Nathan raised a toast. To Anna, Liam, and a future built on strength and love. Glasses clinked, and Anna's eyes met his, gratitude and possibility swirling within her. Later, by the snowy window, Liam held a framed photo of James. Grandpa was awesome, right, Mom? He asked, his voice soft. Anna hugged him close, her heart full. The best, Liam. And he's still with us. Outside, snow fell gently on Chicago, a city reborn in the light of their new beginning.